Natural lighting. You boys ever heard of natural light?
Natural Light Lager by Anheuser-Busch.
Thank God for spring forward or whatever's going on right now, because, oh man, I've got light in my room again. Normally I record this at night and I have that screen up so I can like focus what precious light I have, what precious digitally forced light I have, but no, I can, God, this looks so much better. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about one-shots by Fujimoto Tatsuki. Oh man, these were good. I was happy to read these real quick, and they took way less time to put together than that Fire Punch video, let me tell you. Haven't actually done it yet. I'm talking from the past right now, but hopefully not as much time. This is part 2 in a 3-part video, most likely, about Fujimoto Tatsuki's work so far. The author of Chainsaw Man, Fire Punch, and a myriad of other one-shots will be covering here in this video today. These will contain spoilers for all the one-shots, so if you haven't read them already, go ahead and do so. The list will be down below, even timestamped if you want to just watch a couple for some reason. We're going to start back as early as 2009 / maybe 2010 with Niwa Tori ga Ita, and we're going to work all the way down to the most recent one, Miwo Samatara Onanoko ni Natita Yame. That's... When I woke up, I had... Oh wait, fuck, wrong. I mean, Emoto no Ane, younger sister Annie. Ane. That's a good one. Just to get this out of the way, we have a couple pieces of lost media I couldn't find. Those were 2013's Kami Hikoki Paper Planes maybe, and Seigi no Mikado, or Sense of Justice. That was in Jump Square 2013. Yeah, couldn't find either of those, but we're just gonna work with what we got, which is most of the other ones. As we get to them, I'll let you know when we hit Fire Punch started, when we hit Chainsaw Man started. The Madman himself kept the weekly series, all this stuff going at the same time as a bunch of these one-shots, which is pretty cool. A lot of these were made for contests and other events. From some French interview I read a transcript of, Fujimoto is just constantly sending his editor little one-shots and says he feels guilty because most of them are shit. There's not a whole lot to warn you about for these. It's not super gory. There's not a ton of like explicit like sexual violence stuff. His very last story is a little bit uncomfortable, maybe if you have like childhood abuse trauma, but for the most part I'd say, you know, nothing's too crazy here. But yeah, let's get into it. The first story here is Niwa Tori ga Ita, which is a play on a there were two chickens in the garden, which is like a tongue twister in Japanese, I guess. Legend has it, I was seeing around that Fujimoto published his first story when he was 17, which would have been this one, but it was republished in 2017, that's how I'm reading it. At the end of the story, it says, "It's been 6 years since this came out." So I'm guessing this was actually in 2011, that or we just didn't get an English scan until a little bit later. He would have been 18 or 19, not 17. Maybe he still drew it at 17 and submitted it later. I don't know. Regardless, I'm going to cover this one first, even though it got re-released just because it would have been the first one he drew. Man, I need like a pop filter or something. My mic does not like the noises I'm making. This one opens the short interview segment. I guess because it's republication, there's like some special stuff that came along with it. Fujimoto comes off as pretty funny in this. For example, he gets asked a question, "Please explain how you felt when you wrote, finished, and submitted your first manuscript." And he said, "I was just looking forward to getting paid." And there are some funny drawings of him and his editor too. Like just scribbles. I'll put them on screen. Here. So this story switches perspectives a few times, but essentially 2 human children are pretending to be chickens in an alien school's garden by wearing big masks, because aliens don't eat chickens and aliens look at faces to tell what beings are. So their simple disguises work well. The aliens have taken over Earth and now they're living in Earth, and it's this school on Earth. One day, a transfer school alien that loves chickens moves in, and when he hears about the garden, transforms and bursts out the window on a hunt for chicken. Another alien who knows the human's secret chases after him to protect the children, and ultimately the kids don't make it. Turns out one of them was an alien pretending to be a human to sympathize with them, and that human chicken disguise alien transforms and saves the day. It's messy, it doesn't really work at all, the drawings are totally outlandish, but still really good for a 17-year-old, I would say. Like, some of the drawings are like joke drawings, and they just look like whatever, but like, the composition is still solid. Like, at 17, it's pretty impressive, I would say. There's a couple more questions at the end. We see another self-portrait of Fujimoto and his editor, this time a year later in 2015. And the drawings look like he went through some sort of change in his life or style, the interviewer points out. And we see a really early version of what sort of became his signature self-portrait, the heart. Though a little bit more, I don't know what you would call this, creepy. One question I like from this interview was, now that it's been 6 years since you submitted this work, is there anything you would like to tell your past self, or anything you'd like your past self to tell your current self? And then Fujimoto just said, yeah, do not snack throughout the day. Just the most basic answer. There's also an interesting question for his editor. It says, what areas would you praise and what would you think Fujimoto needs fixing? And the editor says, his art and his power of expression have continued to grow. I'd like him to keep working with the goal of improving. And that was really sweet, and I think he really has. Especially, like, by his very final one-shot before Fire Punch that we'll get to at the end, the expressions in that are all so good and, like, just super expressive, for lack of a better word, and I'll point those out at that time. Koi wa Momoko, Love is Blind, April 2014. This one's pretty dense, but the character designs are expressive and well-drawn. Ibuki, student council president, wants to confess to his love Yuri, a girl who's assisted him along the way to becoming a model student president. A series of increasingly bizarre events prevent him from confessing, and he has to keep trying harder and harder until eventually, like, it just gets out of control and he confesses and it all works out. It was basically just a good single chapter gag manga, but the heart is there. I would not call it shallow or simple. I mean, yeah, it's simple, but it's not like shallow. Like, there's definitely a lot put into it for how simple of a premise it is, and it's pretty funny. It's good. We're moving real quick still. We'll slow down and get more into it as we get further into these. This is Shikaku, June 2014. We see Shikaku as a child, and she's got a good attitude, but she's tearing apart spiders and fireflies, and her parents are just, like, terrified of her. As an adult, she's a cute, still hitman for hire. She's wanted. She has no empathy for the damage she causes. She's Shikaku. She's great. I was reading a re-release because it says from the author of Fire Punch, and this came out in 2014. So we see Shikaku, and she climbs her way to the top of a building to meet her contractor for this hit, who says she doesn't look the part. So she lets the eyeballs roll out of her jacket from all the hitman that eyed her on the way up. And the hitman hirer is like, okay, well, go ahead, try to kill me. And so she just immediately throws a knife at his head. He gets back up. She blows his head off with a shotgun, climbs on the table, and she's like, oh. He keeps getting back up. She's like, are you okay? Does that hurt? I'm sorry, I blew your head off. I didn't think you'd still be alive. And he's like, nah, I'm fine. This is nothing. I'm a vampire. 13 pages in, I am extremely hooked. This is not that it's, like, funny. It's just like, this girl is just flipping shotguns, throwing knives, doing crazy shit. This guy doesn't care. He's badass. It's very hardcore and engaging already. I was very much like, okay, this is the first one shot that I'm getting into already. He basically just says he has fun. He had fun. It was fine. You know, whatever. Go away. I forgive you. And this stuck with Shikaku. She goes home, and she's like, wow, no one's ever forgiven me before. And he said I was like him, another pitiable person in this world. And she falls in love, basically. She's thinking about him all night. She doesn't understand, though, so she rushes back to confront her feelings. She runs up to him. She kills all the bodyguards on the way in this time, and she's like, I need to see you. My body hurts for you. What do I do? And he's just like, go see a doctor. I don't know, man. So she does. Going to a hospital. It's a huge news crew event. This wanted woman just bursts into a hospital and she's surrounded by police cars, all these people with guns, probably gonna kill her on sight. News crew zooms in on the window of the hospital as she bursts out to look at the cars. And the vampire man, the hitman hirer, the boss man, watches this on TV, watching her bored. She's like, oh hey, it's that girl, Shikaku. And she bursts out the windows. She's getting, like, bullets flying past her face, tears her ear off. And she's like, hey, you seal! I asked the doctors why my chest was in so much pain. And the doctor said, because I was in love with you, you seal! And her face just blown off with, like, bullets and blood. And he's just watching her on the couch and he's like, oh my god, this girl is nuts. I have to go see her. So he rushes to the hospital and he sucks on her blood and saves her life and turns her into a vampire. And they're together forever. It cuts to the future, and she's making him a cake. And it's sweet. It's a nice send-off. It was good. It was fast. It was hardcore. It's the first of many difficult love stories. No, that's not true. It's the second one. The first one was the gag with the guy trying to confess. But it's part of this theme of like love in difficult situations, more so in that like they're weird creatures. They're like forbidden love, you know. It's Fujimoto's good at writing interesting love stories, I would say, having just read these. And boy is that true in the next story, Ningyo Rhapsody, or Siren/Mermaid Rhapsody, December 2014. This is about a boy, Toshihide, whose mother was a mermaid. Before she passed away, she showed him the location of a secret underwater piano that was built by her kind. He visits the piano daily to play until one day a mermaid finds him passing out from playing too long and saves his life. He was always told to watch out for mermaids by the local fishermen because they ate humans, but he continues to visit her after this and forms a friendship with the girl who rescued him, Shiryu. He would visit her daily to teach her piano or just share lunch. It's not necessarily romantic at this point, but they're for sure appreciating each other's friendship a lot. One day while visiting her, a shark bites his leg, sending Shiryu into a frenzy where she bites off his ear and attacks him. He makes it out okay, but the local fishermen scold him for playing with mermaids, and when the mermaid leader comes to half-ass apologize, saying, "Hey, you guys used to eat us too, don't even be in our ocean, fuck off." The local mermaids and fishermen get into a fight. So Toshihide heads home, and he talks to his dad, who's like, "You know, son, I fucked a fish once. Sure, they were hard to deal with when they had bloodlust, but hey, that's the thrill of the game." Toshihide returns to the ocean, and soon all the mermaids come to see him play. He teaches their leader too how to play piano, and she's the first one to give him air by kissing his mouth. And Shiju is like, "Hey, no, he's mine," and does the same. Then we get this shot where he's like, "Yeah, they all gave me mouth to mouth all night." And he gets scolded by his dad, but it looks like he clearly thinks it's worth it. Overall, this one shot felt way longer than it was. These ocean spreads are beautiful. I found myself screenshotting a lot of them on my phone when I was reading it. They're not perfect, but they're ambitious, and the feeling comes across well. These like vast ocean shots and the swirls of water and the fish, and it makes me wish that Fujimoto's done more underwater stuff. I think it looks really good in his style. Next is Yogen no Nayuta, Nayuta of the Prophecy, July 2015. This is the one I was most excited to read. I've been seeing the cover for this one around everywhere. I'll put that up there. I think the colors look really nice, and I like the character. And this one's also like a really interesting precursor for a later series he's doing, and I'll talk about that at the end a little more. The prophecy reads, "One day, a magic user with horns that pierces the womb will be born. That person will not have a human heart. They will speak in a cruel tongue, unable to be understood by others. In the end, this person will destroy the world. And so, this child Nayuta is born, killing her mother. The father wants to protect Nayuta, but is killed by those who know the prophecy. So it's up to the brother, Kenji, to protect Nayuta. He skips school and struggles to hold a job, getting fired when his bosses find out who he's housing. He comes home to his sister, who has killed small local animals and is covered in blood, and she can only speak in words like destroy, slaughter, torture, purgatory. Otherwise, they have a pretty normal sibling relationship, but she relies on him for food, shelter, bathing, and clothing. She can't communicate very well. He usually has to give her his portion of dinner to afford food. There are magic users outside their house every day, protesting the existence of his sister. It's pretty awful. There's a modern politician that comes by, and he says, "Hey, magic is no big deal. So what? They can summon swords. They can't compete with a modern nuke or mass revolution." This is all magic users can do. He has one that's, as an example, like makes a little sword in his hands, like a little dagger. And then the magic people are like, "Politician guy, fuck off. You don't understand. She's gonna destroy the world." And so, we're not really sure at this point. It's like, is she actually capable of like serious magic, or are mages in this world not that strong? We see one night, Nayuta goes out into a field of cows. We don't know if she's testing her power or satisfying a bloodlust instinctually, but she raises swords from the ground, and all the cattle are pierced by the head and by the body, dragged up into the night sky. We get this really cool shot of them like floating in front of the moon. It's very ominous. The next morning, the farmers come and chastise Kenji, who takes the blame. He bows and is like, "No, it was me. It was all my fault." and he gets yelled at and taken away. Nayuta watches from the window inside helplessly. At home, Nayuta writes "I'm sorry" on a piece of paper. She's learning to write. She waits for him to come home, but he gets back late, beaten and bloodied, and he jumps right in bed. Nayuta frantically circles him and looks him up and down, speaking in broken, lethal phrases as she does. You see that she understands what's going on, and it dawns on her and zooms in on her circular eye patterns, and you're just struck with this awful feeling of like, what is she capable of? What is she gonna do about this or to these people that hurt her brother? The next day, Kenji goes to work again, gets back home, collapses, but he wakes back up to the smell of a dead pig head and a note from Nayuta that says, "Please eat more, I'm sorry." He thinks, is this why she's been killing animals to try and provide food for me since I always give her my food? Meanwhile, Nayuta's already left the house. While he went to sleep after work, she's gone out into the city. She walks into the center of a crowded area, and people begin to take notice, and they're like, isn't that the girl of prophecy? Suddenly, she just surrounds herself with swords and sword fragments, and the sky is darkened by these giant fists, football-sized swords, giant whale hands. Huge monoliths appear in these grips of these fists, and this page is just horrifying. The military comes in. Everyone is prepared to fight and kill Nayuta and have this battle. She just encases herself deeper with swords. When Kenji walks into the crowd and walks up to Nayuta, he just hits her on top of the head, open palm. All the swords fall and disappear. She just tears up and starts running up to him to hug him. And everyone runs up behind her and it's like, she dropped her guard, let's get her. Kenji's like, no, I'm done with this. I'm going to discipline her properly now. I'm leaving this place forever. I'm going to protect her. It cuts to them in a small town on the beach by the ocean. Nayuta's learned to write, to communicate. She says, am I scary? Denji says, not scary at all, because you're my baby sister. And we get this nice panel here. Okay, that was amazing. There's so much in that chapter that feels like a complete story. This is awesome. I love this one. This is, like I said, I was most excited for this one, and it delivered, I would say. I'm really excited about the future of Chainsaw Man, the way this was done, because spoilers for the end of Chainsaw Man, Kenji has this girl that he's responsible for that is potentially going to cause the end of the world. And in the same way, that was kind of the end where this story left off. So it's like, did the author want to do this eventually? Is that where Chainsaw Man is going now? It's really cool. Also, those freaking swords coming down and those big fists fucking blew my mind. That was sweet. Yeah, real excited. Real excited for future of Chainsaw Man. Real excited for more one-shots from Fujimoto. This was a cool one. I like the girl's design. I like all the drawings of the city, the big scapes, the small stuff. All good. All very good. Right after this one-shot ended, Fire Punch began. That began in April 2016. This one-shot came out in July 2015, so about a year later. I feel like this is the perfect time to start an ongoing series. The author has done stories about unconventional love in hopeless situations, difficult circumstances, beautiful big spreads, underwater and by the ocean, in small villages, and in giant world-ending cities. Super funny, super heartfelt. I'm already having a great time with Fujimoto's work. This is a good time to start Fire Punch, I would say. He's got his bearings. I wasn't able to find an official release schedule, but from what I can tell, Fire Punch must have been released weekly. But Fujimoto still released a few one-shots at the same time because this man is a machine. The next one he did was Sasuke-kun ga Judan Tomera. Sasuke-kun has stopped the bullet. This was June 2016, so just a couple months later. The only necessary thing is the power of belief. Anything is possible. Sasuke loves his teacher, Kawaguchi. She believes in him, so he believes she is God, because she can inspire him and make anything come true by believing in her students. Anything is possible. His dream is to go to the moon. She says he can do it. All you have to do is believe in it, and it's possible. Some people say there's a 0% chance, but that's only because they're too lazy to calculate the real chance, which is never 0%. One day during a lesson, a classmate from the teacher's youth breaks into the building with a gun and threatens her with it. He says, "You dumped me, and I went off to college, and it ruined my life." She says, "Do whatever you want with me, just don't hurt my students." He says, "Anything? Then let's have sex." And she says, "Fine, just let my students leave." And Sasuke stands up. He says, No, you can't. Not with my teacher. He puts out his hand, the man fires the gun, and he catches the bullet. The man says, "How did you do that?" And Sasaki says, because I'm from the future, and I knew the bullet's trajectory. And in the future, you go to jail, study for 10 years, go to university, meet your wife, and have children. So save your virginity now. So the man does. When we see Sasaki on the moon years later, he's talking to Kawaguchi, his teacher. He's done it, and he's made it, because she believes in him, and nothing is impossible. Just like he believed that he could catch the bullet, and he caught the bullet. And that's that one. I don't have a whole lot to say. I am sort of impressed I got to say so much about it, considering how basic the premise was, but there's a lot in these characters. He's good. Fujimoto's getting good at writing characters, I would say. They have stuff going on. The next one is Miwa Samatara Onanako ni Naditita Yamai. When I woke up, I had become a girl disease. April 2017. Interestingly, this opens with a caption that says, "From the genius behind Fire Punch." So, Fire Punch has been out now for about a year. Good to see it's doing well already. Okay, so this story opens with the doctor saying, you have the "when I woke up I became a girl" disease. And she says, "Is there a cure?" And he says, "No." We followed Toshihide. Did we already use that name? I feel like we did. Yes, that was also the Ningyo Rhapsody man's name. We follow Toshihide, who woke up one day with the body of a girl. He struggles with female expectations as his classmates mess with him, and his teachers say he needs to use the girls' gym changing room. But then Toshihide's girlfriend brother Akira comes in and is like, "Everyone fuck off! Toshihide, we're going home." Some random classmate is like, "Are you gonna rape her?" Haha, and Akira knocks him out cold and is like, "Shut up. Do not be mean to people." They get back to Akira's house, and Toshihide has a heart-to-heart with his girlfriend Rei, who tagged along. Or Rie. Say Rie. Toshihide is like, "Wow, your bro is so cool. I think I like him now that I'm a girl, and that's okay." And Rie is like, "Take off your clothes. I don't care. Let's have sex. I don't want to hear it." Then Akira walks in and gets a nosebleed seeing Toshihide's ass, and Rie punches him and runs out. Toshihide starts crying, and the brother gets up with blood on his face and is like, "Hey, Toshihide, if you're a girl, then you stay here and cry, but if you're a man, go after her." And Toshihide runs after her, and they kiss. And Rie's like, "Toshihide, you've always been bullied for being feminine, but so what? Who cares what other people think about you?" Toshihide is like, "Rei, I'm a man, and you're the one I like, so let's have sex actually." And Rie says, "That's cool. I've fallen for you all over again." And then that was good, and that's how they made up. So wow, I don't know. I don't know if I did a great job of retelling that, but I thought that was a really well-intentioned story about trans people. And it totally shifted my perspective on Togeda's ending in Fire Punch, because just reading Togeda's ending, it felt sort of half-assed and insincere. But this would have came out just before that, and I get the impression that Fujimoto is in the mindset of wanting to do a good trans story, and that's very cool. And yeah, it's cool, man. I like Togeda a lot, so it's good to see that that story was well-intentioned when I wasn't really sure it was, because it didn't come off as great when I read it originally. And yeah. It's good stuff. So Fire Punch just ended after this story. That ended in January of 2018. And now we have Emoto no Ane. The ending of Fire Punch, I would say, was a little bit freeform and artistic. And I think maybe that's where Fujimoto's mindset was at that time, because much like that ended, and it was very like high art and interpretive. This is in the same way, pretty like high art and fun, and makes you think, and I like this one a lot. This is, again, Emoto no Ane, younger sister Ane, May 2018. This opens with Mitsuko going to school for fine art. She doesn't like the smell of the oil or the job prospects that come along with it, and she's not very happy with it at all right now. Maybe she was at one point. One day she comes to school. In the front hall, there's a giant oil painting of her nude, displayed prominently to the whole school. She makes this face. Just disgusted. She's embarrassed. She's pissed off. This is what I was saying. This story, right before Chainsaw Man, at this point is very expressive. All the faces are very expressive. It's great. She runs up to her teacher to tell him, and she's like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "Wow, I didn't know that was you. Never seen my student nude before." But it was the winning painting, and we have to follow the rules, so it's got to stay up. Maybe you should go talk to the artist about it. and she doesn't want to talk to the painter because doesn't have a good relationship with her. It's her sister, actually. The teacher is like, well, I'm sorry about that, but the kids aren't going to make fun of you. We're at a school for fine art. No one's going to make fun of you. It's fine. And obviously the kids do make fun of Mitsuko. Her younger sister, Ane, has always copied everything Mitsuko does. And while it was cute at first, as they got older, it became embarrassing. And as Mitsuko became frustrated with her art, Ane overtook her. Mitsuko became jealous just because she didn't feel great about her own art, and Ane was still having a good time with her art. Maybe she doesn't really have the same feelings about it right now. Either way, seeing this nude painting of herself, it was the ultimate expression of Ane's love for her and embarrassment for Mitsuko. And when confronted, Ane held no malice. Ane did this painting purely by imagination, and it was good intentioned, and that's shown that in the painting she has bigger breasts, a softer face, a more shapely figure. She looks good. Everyone's teasing Mitsuko, but they were complimenting her. They were saying, wow, you look so good in that painting, and she was just embarrassed by it. Everyone's taking pictures of it. Her parents come in to take photos of it. Mitsuko hates this, but she takes it to get to work on doing a better painting because she's always been better than her sister, and people are breathing her praise, and she's finding purpose in drawing nudes now. That's what she's doing. So she draws her own nudes, rekindling her flame to improve with dozens of study sheets glittering her floors. We get this shot in her bedroom. The next year, the painting is replaced with a more striking nude painting of her again, drawn by Mitsuko herself. More realistic features, a bolder, more offensive tone. Mitsuko no longer has a poor relationship with Ane. They've made up over this thing, and after university, they go and pursue art together. So wow, that was actually really nice. I was put off at first, but I think it was a really interesting story. More than anything, what stands out is how expressive the characters are. Pretty much every panel of Mitsuko has a strong and complex emotion from head to toe. She's frustrated, she's embarrassed, she's mad, she's everything. Back in 2017 with the Chicken one-shot republication, the editor noted that expression thing, and that really comes back to this. It's true. These are some of the most complex emotions I've seen, and they feel very effortless and real and loose because his drawing style just sort of reflects that naturally. It's good. It's good. Again, I think what stands out is that I didn't like it at first. I was like, what is this? And then I thought about it and I liked it a lot. So next week, we're covering Chainsaw Man. And I can't wait to read this one again. I love it. I've got a huge appreciation for what Fujimoto is doing and capable of right now. And while the main characters are Firepunch is inherently stoic and expressionless, besides that one face, it feels like Fujimoto was flexing his muscles in that face now in retrospect. And Denji can be anything, is my point. That was more stoic, but Denji's going to be expressive. Everyone's going to be expressive. I feel like I'll have a good appreciation for it, and I can't wait. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe. I love you guys. Manga forever. Something like that. Peace.